"So you stopped for me. Why?" He looked at her, rain dripping off his cap. "Because something told me that you're more than just a stranger with a broken-down car." And that's when everything started to unravel. A decision made on a stormy night. Car, that shouldn't have mattered. And a woman carrying secrets that could destroy everything. He just wanted to get home to his son. But fate had other plans. Some storms don't just come from the sky. The storm raged over Willow Creek, a forgotten speck of a town where dreams went to rust. Rain hammered the windshield of Asher Cole's tow truck, its wipers struggling against the deluge. Asher, 38, with grease-stained hands and a heart weighed down by years of scraping by, was driving home to his son Elliot after a 12-hour shift at Cole's auto shop. The neon sign of his shop flickered faintly in the distance, a stubborn light in the dark. He was bone-tired, but the thought of Elliot, 8 years old with his mother's eyes and an inhaler he needed too often, kept him going. Then he saw it, a 1967 Mustang fastback, cherry red and defiant, stalled on the shoulder of Route 17. Its sleek lines called to him, a relic of a time when cars were built with soul. Asher could have kept driving. He should have kept driving. Elliot was waiting with Mrs. Harper, the neighbor who babysat when Asher's shifts ran late. But Asher was a fixer, not just of engines, but of things others gave up on. He pulled over, his boots sinking into the... But a figure stood by the Mustang, hood up, drenched but unshaken. Asher approached, rain dripping off his cap. "Need a hand?" The figure turned, and under the hood he saw her. Green eyes sharp as cut glass, auburn hair plastered to her face, and a presence that didn't belong on a lonely highway. "If you know your way around a classic," she said, her voice calm. "Despite the storm, I'd be grateful." Asher didn't ask who she was or why she was out here. He popped the hood, his hands moving with the instinct of a man who'd spent 2 decades breathing life into broken machines. The issue was a loose distributor cap, an easy fix. 10 minutes later, the Mustang roared, its V8 engine a low growl that drowned out the rain. The woman lowered her hood, revealing a face that was both striking and guarded. "So you're good at this. Name's Sarafina." "Asher Cole," he said, wiping his hands on a rag. "Get that cap checked properly. I've got a shop in town if you're passing through." She studied him, her gaze lingering like she was memorizing him. "I'll keep that in mind, Asher Cole." He watched her drive off, the Mustang's taillights fading into the storm. He didn't know it then, but that moment, that single, unthinking act of kindness, would shatter his quiet life and drag him into a world of power, betrayal, and a love he never dared imagine. The next morning, Asher was elbow-deep in a Chevy pickup's engine at his shop, the radio crackling with old country tunes. The bell above the door chimed and he slid out, expecting another local with a busted alternator. Instead, Sarafina stood there, her tailored coat a jarring contrast to the shop's oil-stained concrete. Behind her, parked in the lot, was the Mustang gleaming like it had never seen a storm. "You weren't kidding about the shop," she said, her eyes scanning the cluttered shelves of tools and parts. "I need someone I can trust to restore this car. You in?" Asher hesitated. The shop was barely breaking even. Elliot's asthma meds cost a fortune, and the roof leaked so badly he kept buckets under the worst spots. A job like this could keep the lights on. But there was something about Sarafina, her confidence, her vagueness, that set him on edge. "I'm in," he said finally. "But it'll take time. Parts for a 67 fastback aren't cheap or easy to find." "Time's fine," she said, a faint smile tugging at her lips. "I'm not going anywhere." What she didn't say, what Asher wouldn't discover until it was too late, was that Sarafina Lancaster wasn't just a woman with a classic car. She was the shadow owner of Sterling Automotive, a billion-dollar empire that built cars for the elite. And she'd been watching Asher Cole for weeks, ever since a client mentioned a small-town mechanic with a gift for bringing vintage Mustangs back to life. Over the next month, Asher poured himself into the Mustang. Sarafina became a fixture, at the shop, sitting on a stool with a coffee mug, asking about carburetors and suspension systems. She listened when Asher talked about Elliot, his love of model cars, his dreams of racing, his fear of the storms that triggered his asthma. Asher found himself opening up, something he hadn't done since Elliot's mother, Lila, walked out 6 years ago. Sarafina, in turn, shared bits of herself, her love of classic cars, her disdain for corporate nonsense, but her past remained a locked box. She dodged questions about her job, her family, her reasons for lingering in Willow Creek. Asher didn't push. He had his own worries. Lila had resurfaced, sending letters through a lawyer, hinting at a custody fight. She claimed she'd changed, but Asher knew better. Lila was trouble, always had been, and he couldn't afford a legal battle. Not now, not ever. One evening, as Asher polished the Mustang's chrome to a mirror shine, Sarafina dropped a bomb. "I've seen your work, Asher. You're wasting your talent here. I want you to come work for me at Sterling Automotive." Asher froze, wrench in hand. Sterling Automotive, the company that supplied cars to sheiks and movie stars. "You're pulling my leg," he said, half laughing. "I'm a grease monkey, not a suit." "I'm not joking," she said, stepping closer, her eyes intense. "I'm offering you head of our classic car division. 6 figures, full benefits, a future for you and Elliot. Say yes." It was a lifeline, a way out of the endless grind, but it raised a question that clawed at Asher's gut. Why me? Why would someone tied to Sterling pick a nobody like him? He didn't voice it, but it lingered, a splinter of doubt that would soon fester. He said, yes. Sterling Automotive's Chicago headquarters was a cathedral of glass and steel, a far cry from Willow Creek's dusty streets. Asher, in his flannel and work boots, felt like a stray dog in a palace. Sarafina, now revealed as Sterling's elusive CEO, guided him through the maze of marble lobbies and executive suites. She introduced him to the team, showed him a restoration facility that looked like a spaceship, and gave him an office with a view of the skyline. Elliot, clutching a toy Mustang Sarafina had gifted him, explored the building with wide-eyed wonder. The team, however, eyed Asher like an intruder. Whispers trailed him about his lack of a degree, his sudden promotion, his connection to Sarafina. The loudest voice belonged to Victor Langley, Sterling's former COO and Sarafina's ex-husband. Victor was tall, with a predator's smile and eyes that cut like knives. He cornered Asher in the hallway on his first day. "You're a curiosity, Cole," Victor said, his voice smooth as poison. "Sarafina's latest project, but you don't belong here and you won't last." Asher clenched his jaw, brushing past. "We'll see." Victor's words were just the beginning. A restored 1955 Thunderbird, Asher's first project, was sabotaged, its fuel line cut, causing a humiliating breakdown during a client demo. A tabloid ran a hit piece, accusing Asher of faking his experience, complete with forged documents. Worst of all, Lila escalated her custody fight, backed by a lawyer Asher couldn't hope to match. Her claim, Asher's unstable new job, made him an unfit father. Asher stormed into Sarafina's office, his temper flaring. "Did you know about this? Victor, the sabotage, the custody threats. Is this why you dragged me here?" Sarafina's face was a mask of control, but her eyes betrayed a flicker of guilt. "Victor's behind it. He's been trying to destroy me since our divorce. He wants Sterling, and you're a threat to his plans." "Then why didn't you warn me?" Asher snapped. "What else are you keeping from me?" She stepped closer, her voice low and fierce. "I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to run. I chose you, Asher, because you're honest, because you're better than this world. But if you want out, say it now." He didn't. But the question burned brighter. Could he trust her? If you're hooked on this story, hit that like and subscribe button for more twists and turns. The stakes skyrocketed. Sterling was bidding on a make-or-break contract with Lancaster Racing, Sarafina's family business, to supply a new line of high-performance Mustangs. Losing it would tank the company, and Victor was banking on their failure. Asher threw himself into the project, designing a prototype that fused the Mustang's iconic style with cutting-edge tech. He worked late nights, Sarafina at his side, their shared obsession with the car forging a bond neither could ignore. One night, in the quiet of the workshop, Sarafina brushed her hand against his. "You're not just saving my company, Asher. You're saving me." He met her gaze, the air thick with unspoken words. "I'm no savior, Sarafina. I'm just trying to keep my kids safe." "You're more than that," she said, and kissed him. The kiss was electric, a spark that ignited. a romance they'd both been fighting. But it was a dangerous flame. Victor, with his network of spies, leaked photos of their kiss to the press, spinning a narrative of Sarafina as a reckless CEO and Asher as a scheming opportunist. The board called an emergency meeting, questioning Sarafina's leadership. Lila's custody case gained traction, with doctored evidence painting Asher as neglectful. And then a fire broke out in the workshop, reducing the prototype to ash. Asher sifted through the wreckage and found a clue, a canister of chemical accelerant, linked to one of Victor's shell companies. He showed it to Sarafina, who revealed her own weapon, a dossier of evidence proving Victor's embezzlement, from Sterling hidden for years. "We can bury him," she said. "But it means playing his game." Asher hesitated. He'd always lived by a simple code: fix what's broken, protect what's yours. But Victor had crossed a line, threatening Elliot, Sarafina, everything Asher held dear. "Do it," he said. The plan unfolded in layers, each twist tightening the noose around Victor. Asher and Sarafina rebuilt the prototype in secret, working in a hidden garage outside Chicago. They fed Victor false intel, letting him believe the project was dead. Meanwhile, Sarafina leaked snippets of her dossier to trusted board members, sowing doubt about Victor's loyalty. But Victor struck back. He hacked Sterling's servers, exposing internal emails that painted Asher as incompetent. He bribed a judge in the custody case, pushing Lila's claim closer to victory. And he sent an anonymous threat to Asher's phone. "Back off or Elliot pays." Asher's blood ran cold. He confronted Sarafina, his voice shaking. "This isn't just about your company anymore. He's coming for my son." Sarafina's face was a storm of resolve. "Then we end this. Now." The climax came at Lancaster Racing's annual gala, a glittering event attended by the auto industry's elite. Victor, smug in his tailored tux, believed he'd won. The prototype was gone, Sterling was crumbling, and Asher was a nobody about to lose everything. But Asher and Sarafina had one last card to play. As the gala reached its peak, the curtain rose on the show floor. Gasps filled the room as the new Mustang prototype gleamed under the lights, sleek, powerful, a masterpiece of design. Asher took the stage, his voice steady despite the eyes boring into him. "This car isn't just a machine. It's a promise to fight for what's right, to build something that lasts. And to those who try to tear us down, know this: we don't break." The crowd roared. Lancaster Racing's CEO, Sarafina's father, signed the contract on the spot, securing Sterling's future. Victor's face twisted with rage, but he had no move left. Sarafina had already sent her dossier to the FBI, and as the gala ended, agents arrested Victor in front of the crowd, his empire crumbling in real time. Lila's custody case collapsed when her lawyer tied to Victor fled. The board reinstated Sarafina's full authority, and the press, smelling blood, turned on Victor, exposing his crimes. Months later, Asher stood outside his new restoration shop in Willow Creek, a Sterling-backed venture that let him work on ore. His terms. The 1967 Mustang, fully restored, sat in the lot, its red paint glowing under the sun. Sarafina, now a partner in both business and life, leaned against it, her smile warm and unguarded. Elliot ran out, holding a model Mustang, his laughter filling the air. Asher looked at them, his family, and felt something he hadn't in years: peace. "You ever think one rainy night could lead to this?" he asked Sarafina. She laced her fingers with his. "Every day, but it wasn't the rain, Asher, it was you." They climbed into the Mustang, Elliot in the back, his toy car clutched tight. The engine roared, a sound of freedom and defiance. As they drove down Route 17, the open road stretching endless before them, Asher knew this was no fairy tale. It was better, a life forged through storms, through battles, through love that refused to break. The Mustang sped into the horizon, carrying a man who'd fixed more than a car, a woman who'd found her equal, and a boy who'd never doubt. His father's strength. They were a family bound by resilience, ready for whatever the road brought next.